Okay. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Wasabi's, our Wasatch High School students specializing in unique hobbies. I'm Seth Wright, and we are joined by Cole Jensen.
Hey guys, I'm Cole Jensen, and I take photos on film.
So tell us more about that. What is your hobby called?
So I do film photography. So I just have an old camera that I got at a estate sale on eBay, and it shoots on 35 millimeter film. So I have to go and take it to the lab and get it developed, and then I do my own developing of the film for black and white. But I just leave the color up to the lab.
That's awesome. So how do you produce it? Like, how do you develop it into the picture?
So it starts out as like this little plastic roll, and it has some film on the inside, and you load it into the camera, right? And then as you take pictures, it exposes the little individual pieces of the film. And after that's done, I take it into my bathroom where it's really dark, and then I can take it out of the roll and I cut it off. Then I wind it onto this reel, and I put it in a tank, and then you just pour different chemicals in and out and kind of agitate it, and then after it's all said and done, you have pictures.
Dang.
And then I take them to the photo room upstairs and I scan them and edit them, yeah.
It seems like a very long process.
Yeah, it's definitely time consuming, but it's one of the things that I like about it is it makes you think more about what you're shooting versus like, you have a digital camera that just shoots like 300 pictures in a minute or whatever. But every time I take a picture, I have to wind the film, and then I have to focus manually, right? And then check all my settings and make sure. I just like it because I feel like I take better pictures when I shoot on film versus when I'm just not caring about what I'm shooting. Because you only have 36 exposures on a roll, and if you mess up half of them, then you're out $10.
Dang. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved in this hobby?
So I think at the end of last summer, I just started seeing like a lot of old family photos. I was like, I really love the look of those, and I want to replicate it. And I know you can replicate it digitally, but I thought, that's kind of lame. I want to go the real way. So I picked up an old camera that we had in the basement, and it's just some cheap camera from the 90s, and it's all automatic settings. So I started taking photos on that. I shot a few rolls, and then I was wanting to get better at it, and I wanted to shoot with my own settings. I wanted to choose what I could make the photo look like. So I went on eBay and searched, and I found a good deal on a camera that was really good for beginners.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's way cool. So it was just through your own personal interest, not like, was there anyone who like actually inspired you to do it, or was it just you?
No, not at the beginning. It was mostly I would just be seeing old pictures, and the whole just aesthetic and the feeling of taking photos was really attractive to me. Especially the just hands-on, more it's analog photography. So I love the feel of the cameras. It's heavy,
It's a heavy camera.
and it's all metal. Everything's mechanical. There's nothing electronic in it. It's just a more organic experience.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's way cool. Is there a professional level of like analog photography that you can get to?
For sure. I mean, as anything you can shoot with digital, you can shoot on film. It's just sometimes it's more difficult and definitely more expensive.
Yeah.
A lot of photographers prefer to shoot on film for like weddings, and a lot of people prefer that look for certain like portraits. It's just kind of the style that you're going for,
Yeah, that's awesome. So is there anyone that you look up to in particular, like that you've seen photos of and you really enjoy their photos and try to replicate?
Yeah, so definitely one of my biggest inspirations, especially right after I had started shooting on film, is a guy named Willem Verbeek. He has a YouTube channel. He posts on his Instagram, and he has a few books that are out right now. He's definitely one of my biggest inspirations, just because his way of taking photos and like his style and everything is very cinematic looking, and I really like that, and that's what I try to replicate. And then another big inspiration would be a guy named Gunnar Stahl. he is very involved with like the music community and like hip hop, and he takes a lot of pictures of like big famous like rappers and stuff. And he has a few books out right now, and his just his whole aesthetic and like all of his pictures look like is very cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is there anyone making money? Like, well, I'm sure that people buy different pictures, but is there any way that you can make money through this?
Yeah, so a lot of people that don't do like paid shoots they'll sell prints, because you can enlarge a negative, a piece of film, you can enlarge it with light instead of just digitally.
Okay.
You can get it a lot bigger and just keep all of your same details and sharpness and everything, and enlarge it on like a much bigger piece of paper than you would be able to by scanning it, or like even with a digital camera.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will sell those prints, and it's just like art, you know. So anybody can sell art. It's just like whether you have an audience or not.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people get paid to shoot stuff. So
That's really cool.
yeah.
So you took all these pictures right here?
Yeah, so these are just some of my favorites that I've taken so far. I think it's been through a few times.
So,
But yeah, I just go and take pictures and of anything that makes me, you know, think twice about it. Like I look and I'm like, oh, okay,
and then you
that's
like,
kind of cool. So I pull out my camera and I see how it looks through it. And if I really want to take it, then I do. But
because each film is like expensive. So
yeah,
you need
it's
to
like,
do the right thing.
yeah, anywhere from like $6 to $20 for a roll of
Wow.
36 exposures. So
Dang, that's
Yeah.
a lot of money. So you've spent quite a bit
I've
of money
spent
on
quite
this.
a bit, yeah.
Hey,
Probably
you gotta
too
do what you
much.
gotta do. Those are really cool. Those
Yeah,
are
I'd,
really cool pictures. How long does developing usually take? Is there like a certain time period?
So if I do it at home, I can do my black and whites in about half an hour,
Okay.
like combined with cleanup and everything. But if I take it to a lab and they do color development and then scans as well, it usually takes them anywhere from like 8 to 24 hours,
Dang,
depending on how busy they are.
that's quite a long time.
Yeah,
To
it's definitely
get a
worth
picture.
it though, I
But
think.
yeah, those look so cool. I think that would definitely be worth it. Where could this take you in the future? Do you see yourself on a more of a professional scale?
I don't know. I think it would be great to do something with it in the future, but I'm not sure how practical it is. You
Yeah.
know, it's more of just a
Something you like to
niche
do?
hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What is a goal you have? Do you have like a big goal for analog photography?
Yeah. So right now, I'm trying to save up for a different format of camera.
Okay.
So what I shoot on now is 35 millimeter, and the rolls are about this big.
Mhm.
You have like 36 shots on it, and the negatives that come out are probably,
Like
you know,
little.
like an inch by half an inch.
Dang.
And yeah, it's like enlarged when you scan
When
it
you
and
scan
stuff. But there's I really want to get what's called a medium format camera, or
Mhm.
like 120 film,
Okay.
and the rolls about this tall.
A lot bigger.
And yeah, I think you can get a 6x6 centimeter, 6x7, or 6x9.
That's nice.
So you just get like tons of extra detail in every
Mhm.
photo. But the cameras that are there aren't as many of them. There weren't as
Yeah.
many made when they were still like, you know, making them. So they're a lot more expensive, especially for the ones that take good photos.
Yeah.
So I've just been trying to save up for that, and
That's
then yeah, I think it would be really fun.
Yeah. That'd be really cool to see.
Yeah.
Where do you do your hobby? So we kind of touched on this earlier. So like just anywhere. Do you usually take your camera with you most places?
Yeah, I take my camera pretty much everywhere. I'll take it to school some days. When I'm traveling, especially, I'll take
yeah.
multiple cameras. Yeah, just anywhere. And then sometimes I'll just feel inspired and I'll go out and
Just
take
take
pictures of
pictures.
stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Are there a lot of students in the Valley that are involved in analog photography, or is it mainly just you that you know of?
Right now, I think it's just me. I know there's a lot of kids that, like I don't know anybody else that does it. There's a lot of kids that do disposable cameras, and it's still like 35 millimeter,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say, I don't know, it's not as like serious, I guess.
So my friend took a photography class here, is that the same thing? Did you take this photography class? They
I
like
haven't
put
taken it, no.
So they go in like some dark room and produce it with chemicals and stuff too. I think
Yeah.
it could be like just the black and white part of it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's kind of like what you're talking.
Yeah, there's a film photography class here. I haven't taken it, but they just do all black and white because it's a lot cheaper than color. It's a lot more simple. It kind of teaches you like the basics of photography. I think like you're not just relying on cool colors and stuff to make a good
Like
photo.
the right timing.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is there a favorite picture you've taken? Like, is there like one specific picture that you've taken that you really enjoyed?
I don't really. It's really hard for me to pick favorites because every roll I get one that's good. So these are all honorable mentions. I think some of my favorites. My favorite one is probably the one with the cactus on it. It's been going by.
Yeah.
It was one of my earlier photos taken. I think we went down to St. George for a family vacation. It was my first time I traveled with the camera. And we were doing a hike, and I just saw this cactus, and I was like, hey, this is a strange looking plant. I'm going to take a picture of it.
That's awesome.
So, and then,
So cool.
yeah, like the sun and like the mountains in the back kind of lined up good. And
I think this is a good
Turned out
spot
great.
for a picture. So was it kind of hard when you started off at first, like trying to get all the chemical stuff right and trying to get the exposure? Was it kind of hard for you to take pictures? Did you have to like get used to the process of it?
For sure, yeah, there's definitely a learning curve. So when I started out, I mentioned I had like a cheaper camera, so it was just all automatic settings. It was just an SLR, so it had a mirror in it and stuff, so you could see through the lens. So like what you see is what you get pretty much, and then the camera just does all the work for you. So that made it really easy for me to start out and figure out what kind of pictures I wanted to take.
Sure.
And then as soon as I picked up my camera, my nicer one, it was definitely harder. I have to read, it has like a light meter built in, but I still have to like read
figure out
and
how to
set
do
my
everything.
settings, and
Yeah.
it's just, there's definitely a learning curve, but the internet and stuff like YouTube, there's
Super
huge
helpful.
community of people that do
That's
it
awesome.
all over the world, and it makes it a lot
That's so cool.
easier. Yeah.
Are there any are there like any festivals for analog photography like that you know of, like that people go and share their work?
So sometimes, like bigger name photographers like Willem, he'll do. Sometimes people will do like a photo walk or like I think it's called they call it like a lab or something, and they'll have a bunch of people come in and they'll just critique, take photos and then develop them and then just critique after and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't think there's any like conventions or.
Yeah.
You know.
So are you like hoping to go to one of those sometime just to check it out, or?
I think it would be really fun. Yeah, I think there's one in like LA in
cool.
a few weeks, but I don't think I will be able to make it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So is there anything that like kind of makes it harder for you to do it? Like, is there anything in your life that kind of interferes with you wanting to go out and take photography, like homework or?
I think since it's such a time-consuming process, and I want to take, as good of photos as possible, it's hard to find time to make time to get outside and get out and take photos. And the weather can be a big issue as well because you're outside, But other than that, it's just a matter of me feeling inspired or having a subject to photograph. So.
Yeah. So when, I know a lot of people like to do the stuff they love when they're having a hard day. Is that something that you do? Like if you're having a hard day, like it was just a really bad day at school, and maybe people at home were fighting with each other. It's kind of something that happens in my family. Do you usually want to go out and take pictures? Do you go out and just take pictures?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a way of, expressing how I feel. Certain pictures will express certain moods, and I can kind of see it reflect. When I'm feeling, happier and more inspired, I'll take better photos. But yeah, it's a good distraction to, kind of let everything else go away when you can focus on this one thing that is making you happy. So.
That's super awesome.
Yeah.
So do you ever see any really cool spots that you want to take a picture, maybe you don't have your camera, or like you'd rather have it in a different like form of lighting or different like season that would make it look better, and then make you go back and take it then?
Yeah,
So-
for sure. So yeah, there's a lot of times when I wish I had my camera. So I picked up like a really small point and shoot that's has a nice lens on it. It's a pretty popular camera, but I got that because it gives a good look with such a tiny
It's
little
such a
camera.
small thing. That's cool.
So I can take that one everywhere. It's definitely minimized the issue of, oh, I wish I had my camera.
Yeah.
But as you said, with like lighting and stuff, that's definitely a big part, because in post you can't change as much as you can with digital,
Yeah.
just because it's already there
It's
in
already
like a
in
physical
physically,
form.
Yeah.
So editing is a lot tougher for sure. And then there's definitely things that I want to photograph but can't, like at that moment, because I don't have like my tripod to
Yeah.
avoid camera shake, or just
Yeah.
everything else, or I don't have the right lens on, stuff like that.
So are there specific things that you like to take pictures of? Like, is it like landscapes or people or just city stuff? Like, is there?
So landscapes definitely are some of my favorite things. They're pretty easy to shoot if you have an interesting landscape. I just think, if you have like the right lighting and like clouds look good and everything,
Yes.
it's just really fun. It's really fun to see how it turns out.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to shoot though is street photography, and that's, it's kind of self-explanatory. You just
Yeah,
walk
just
around
go
the city
around.
and just photograph like people
That's
or
cool.
places that you think look cool. I took one in a restaurant the other day, and I posted it on my Instagram, and I was like, hey, this is kind of an all right picture. I didn't think it was great. And then a magazine actually messaged me, and they said, it was this one here. The magazine messaged me, and they said, hey, can we'd like to feature you in our magazine for
That's
next
so
year's
cool.
issue. Yeah, so it was a really, really big surprise to me, because it
That's
was,
way cool.
yeah, I just didn't expect that photo to turn out that well.
That's really cool. Are they paying you for it? Like,
No, so it's what their kind of mission is to just kind of keep it alive, and they're not making any money off of it. They're just like
They're just
covering
having it.
cost. So they had me purchase this year's issue, and then they're gonna give me like some Instagram shout out or whatever.
That's cool.
And then I'll hopefully be in next year's issue. So they just released like a book of like 200 pages
That's cool.
of just like photos every year,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. And I'm definitely
That's so
excited.
cool. So like you're already getting into more of a professional stage.
Kind
just
of.
from getting into magazines. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
That's
way
it's
cool.
fun.
Well, this sounds like a great hobby. I'd love to try it sometime, because with my film classes, my parents are always like, here, take this picture, because just being in the film class, I know like rule of thirds and all
Yeah.
the easy photography stuff, and they're just like, make this look cool. I'm like, oh, okay. So I think it'd be really cool to learn that.
I definitely recommend it to everyone who feels like they have time on their hands, or
Of course.
just needs something extra in their life.
Sweet.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out.
for sure.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah,
That was
no
a
problem.
lot.
Thanks
of
for having
fun.
me.
Yeah. So this is Cole Jensen, you guys. Make sure you check out Analog Photography. It sounds super cool from what I've heard from it, and I bet he'd definitely help you out
For sure.
with all of your shots. So thank you for joining us today. All right.